Hey everybody, welcome to the Break Room with JB. Today's episode, number 11, is going to be a little bit different from our previous ones. First off, it's going to be a little bit shorter. I know we didn't have an episode on Monday. To be honest with you, there really wasn't much to talk about. So I just decided to, hey, you know what? Let's throw on a Friday episode. Also, today's episode is going to be a little bit shorter because, I'm holding some things back from you guys because we have a guest coming on. Actually, I'm recording him tomorrow. A former guest of ours, John Tobin from 101.5 WPDH, is going to be joining us again. So I wanted to hold off a couple topics to touch base with him on when we talk tomorrow. So today's show is going to be a little bit shorter. I'm just really going to go over a couple things that I found, not only in the news, but just a couple things that were going on. So, listen, the next episode is probably going to be on Monday, but I think what we're going to be shooting for, instead of every Monday and Friday, and I know I said once a week at the beginning, we jumped to 2 days a week, etc. I'm thinking we're just going to do one episode a week on a Friday, okay? That's what I'm thinking right now. Nothing's definite, set in stone. Pay attention to our Facebook page. Pay attention to the website. Also, don't forget, we have our YouTube channel now. You can look for all of them by just searching The Break Room with JB. Don't forget Twitter as well. Now, hold on a second. I know I talked to you last time about Twitter and what the Twitter handle was because, this is kind of new to me. I don't usually tweet, or as I've said before, twit. I actually got the Break Room JB, or at the Break Room JB is our Twitter handle, at the Break Room JB. So join that to follow any announcements that's coming by, and especially about the episodes changing to once a week. I'm shooting for every Friday. That'll give me enough time during the week to get people on, some of the guests that I want to get on, and to get topics ready and to get it produced the way it should be and the way it should sound. So that's that. A little housekeeping. I've had an interesting week. I don't know about you guys. I did something really, really stupid. Well, honestly, it really wasn't stupid. The reaction made it seem stupid in my mind afterwards. I fell into a trap that we talked about last week when we talked about social media and how it's really degrading society and ruining, people, really. Not only people's lives, not only people's professional and personal lives, I should have said, broke those up, but just dumbing down America or dumbing down the world, and basically because it doesn't have rules and regulations. Like, think about it. We drive cars. All right, and I know cars are a little bit different than social media, but bear with me. Roads were created way back in the day, right? Way back. We're talking about, walking roads, first of all, through many of the ancient civilizations. Then the roads got a little bit wider because, hey, carts came along and etc. Then roads got a little bit better and wider because cars came along, etc. But think about it. There were always rules on the road. There was always signs. There was always something to guide you along your way. Okay, so even way back in the day when there were just footpaths. Think about today when we get in a car, we head out on the road. There's rules. Can't cross a double yellow line. Got to wait for, to be honest with you, I don't even know this one. I know when you come to a four-way stop, I knew it when I had to pass my test, and that was about it, and then I forgot it. I just try to be courteous. But there's rules when you come to a four-way stop with everybody else there, which one is supposed to go first. There's rules as far as stop signs, as far as passing another vehicle with the stripes on the road. There's rules for everything in society. Now there's rules in the grocery store. Now there's rules as far as what you can have attached to, your house, building codes and etc. And I know they're meant to keep us safe. Pay attention. And I know those rules on the highway are meant to keep us safe. I know the rules in the grocery store are meant to keep us safe. Okay? There's rules all over. Beaches, every single place you go, there are rules. Now, you might not think there are because those rules don't infringe on you because, well, you don't break them. And there's no sense to break them because the rules are pretty much black and white. So my point last week was that we need rules for social media just like that. Because you know what? In society, let's take the cars for example, we know that, oh gosh, when the red lights on the car in front of us come on, that means they're slowing down, so I need to slow down so I don't ram into them. Well, guess what? People aren't that bright on social media, and they need those red lights in front of them to tell them, hey, stop, slow down, or stop being ignorant, if you will. So, anyways, getting back to my quick little story, I'm not going to go too in depth, in detail with you. It is an interesting story, and I'm going to share it with John when Tobin when he comes on tomorrow. That is because I know he posts a lot, and I wanted to kind of get his opinion on it as well. So, anyways, I posted something, and it just went downhill. Wasn't a bad thing. We'll get into it the next time. Okay. Now, I also saw, because, hey, listen, I'm a troll. The only real reason I go on social media is to see what's going on. Do I get my news from social media? Absolutely not, guys. Don't tell me. I mean, I have some people and whatnot that I think I posted one thing about the motorcycle accident death, in Florida that got counted as a COVID death. And I mentioned something about Dr. Ezeki, who we had on this program, not as a guest, but I played that clip from YouTube about her explaining, hey, listen, if you die of this and you test positive of COVID at your time of death, well, we just count it as a COVID death. If you die of a car accident and you test positive for COVID when the post-mortem, hey, you died of COVID. So anyways, I posted that up there because there was a news article. And he's a good friend of mine. One of my former bosses, as a matter of fact, gave me a really big break in radio way back in the day. 19-year-old, my first contract. I think we talked about that with Rock and Steve. But, he is a very different opinion than me, and that's fine. Hey, everybody has their own opinions. I happen to mention in my little post there about, hey, check out Dr. Ezeki, just in general to people. Check out Dr. Ezeki on YouTube, blah, 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 blah. Well, his response, and he was very polite in his response, said, love you, man, but, you can't get your news from YouTube and blah, 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 blah. Guys, I don't get my news from YouTube or social media or anything like that. I get sources and bits of information from that, but then I go and double check and double down in reputable news sources to find out if that is true. That's just like if you go to Wikipedia and like we talked about before, I'm in education. That's the one thing we tell kids. Do not go to Wikipedia. Do not get your information from Wikipedia. Can you get facts from there? Sure. But don't take that for face value. Go and find out if that fact is true. Okay? So I don't get my info from social media. But one of the things I did see on there was a opinion poll. And that opinion poll, and I'm just reading off my list here, was about social media and colleges. Because apparently what's going on is a lot of colleges are rejecting their offers to students based on the content of their social media page. And a lot of students are so upset about this and thinking that is completely unfair. Go figure. I mean, this day and age, everything is unfair. But, they're thinking, oh, it's so unfair. You can't judge me based on my social media. Well, if your social media looks like garbage and you look like a crazed man, then, yeah, guess what? We're going to judge you on that because that's what you're putting out in public. That's what you want people to think of you. So then why shouldn't anybody think of you that way? I mean, come on. Don't tell me not to judge you by your social media account. You know how many people get fired from posting I'm talking about ridiculous stuff on social media and seeing no problem with that? So to tell these kids in college, that is, or not even in college, just getting out of high school because their applications and so forth, to tell these kids, hey, yeah, well, yeah, the offer's off the table because we saw some stuff on your social media account that doesn't meet our standards. Well, first of all, colleges have a right to do that. You're applying to them, just like employers have a right to do that because you're applying to them. So, this, I think personally, is a great lesson for young kids um, to receive, especially coming right out of high school. That hey, listen, you got to be careful what you put on there. You know, partying and all that during high school is one thing, but you're entering the real world when you enter college. I learned that the hard way, one semester. But you're entering the real world when you're going into college, and for them to kind of say, "Hey, wait, no, 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 you don't meet what we're looking for." Meaning, not that you're not qualified for it, but we don't want that image representing our institution or our employment. And I firmly believe that employers and colleges have that right. Absolutely. I mean, I understand it might be a little bit different when scholarships and so forth, but in that case, the college has all the right whatsoever. Now, I was looking at a news story, and I'm looking at the computer right now. One of these stories that goes along with this, but the poll, I didn't see what I didn't click on it to find out exactly, and I know I failed my own little, rule there. I didn't click on it to find out what the poll indicated, whether people agreed with that or not. But there was a Fordham University student, that is, says the school is wrongfully penalizing him over two political social media posts he made last month, one of which pictured him holding a legally owned rifle. New court papers allege. So this person on social media and so forth is making comments about some of the riots and so forth, it looks like, and holding this gun. And apparently it's legal. I don't know anything about it. I haven't seen, like I said, it's just including it in here. But guys, listen, and he's not standing over a deer. This is not a hunting gun, if you will, or a hunting weapon. He's not standing over anything else, and because that's different. There's a lot of society, a lot of cultures, and a lot of people in America that depend on hunting for their food and have every right to, and every right to own a gun, and every right to go out there and get food for their family, as long as they're doing it for the right reasons and not just doing it to kill, just doing it to do it. Um, but I'll tell you what, this picture right here, this is not a hunting weapon, and I am not an expert, but I can tell that just looking at the picture. And he is not standing over any animal that he just killed to feed himself or his family. And oh, look at that. He posted a picture. I'm sorry, I'm reading the thing as we go because I just found this right before we went on, of the license number of the firearm, which is fine. Hey, that's great. But when you're posting a picture there, and then one of the comment a post, photos, I think he wrote, I'm looking at this, y'all a bunch of hypocrites with the picture of the gun, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, you know what? With everything, that has gone on in this society, especially with school shootings, and trust me, I mean, that's one thing that is in the back of my mind. As a matter of fact, this past year, I had a very vivid dream of one happening, and during school, and yeah, it wasn't good. I woke up very fearful. The fact of the matter is, though, is I went in and talked to our guidance counselor about it, and I saw the her face turn pale, basically, because she says, "Oh my gosh, I had one about that too last night, and you were involved. And I'm like, oh my goodness, you know, I, I was hoping that, what, thankfully, I should say, nothing happened. But you know what? That's in the back of our minds all the time. And when you post this picture of you, or this kid did, of him with the gun, now there's a whole bunch of other things in this story I'm not going to get into right now. But that is not a hunting gun, first of all. Whether or not it's legal or whatever, which it apparently is. He posted the license number. You know what? The university has every right to say, not what we want to represent or not what we want to put out there. Now, I'll read the whole article and we'll come back to it the next episode. So please don't call me a hypocrite and or say I'm not saying the whole story. I haven't had time to read the whole thing, but it just goes into what I wanted, or what we were talking about there with the social media posts and colleges blocking people, or not allowing people to attend based on their posts, which I think, hey, you know what? They have every right to. Go for it. Absolutely. Okay, like I said earlier, this is not going to be as long as usual. As a matter of fact, I don't even know if we'll take a break. This might be about 30, 40 minutes, and we'll just leave it at that. And like I said, John Tobin, he'll be joining us on our next episode. Recording him tomorrow, as a matter of fact. So I'm going to save a couple stories for him when we get on. As a matter of fact, I sent him some things today that was actually sent to me by my mom. So we're going to talk about those tomorrow or the next time an episode drops. So we talked about the poll as far as the colleges kicking kids, not kicking kids. I shouldn't say that, kicking kids out. Not kicking kids. I meant to put out there, so don't jump on me for that. But rejecting kids, I should say, based on their social media posts. And that, hey, absolutely. If you want to post something stupid up there, employers have a right to fire you. Why shouldn't colleges? Colleges are doing you a favor. I know you're paying them. I understand that. Now, if they kick you out and they don't give you a refund or something like that, I could see a little bit of an issue there. But if they have a clause in some of their paperwork and their contracts that say, listen, hey, you post something stupid, then we have the right to kick you out, not getting your money back, boo-hoo, oh well. All right. You got to read what you sign. Anyways, you know what was funny is before I came on tonight, I pulled up, and I'm looking at it right now, all or three, I should say, of the major cable news networks, CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News. And I just wanted to see what each one had on their pages. Now, not one of them is identical. There's two that have the same exact picture, same exact news stories, but completely different headlines, which is just funny. And we've talked about that before, about, them trying the media, not necessarily fake news, but sensationalizing it, pushing it towards their desire, their way they want you to think. Now, I'll have to give it, and believe it or not, I'll have to give it to CNN here, because CNN actually has some decent stories. Now, whether or not these stories, I'm just reading the headlines right now, whether or not these stories are valid and not slanted, I don't know. I didn't open them up and look at all of them. But CNN is actually the only one out of all of these that on their front page has a story about the stupidity going on with these riots. Only one, CNN. Nothing on Fox on the front page. Nope. Nothing on MSNBC. Let me slow that down. On the front page. CNN. Now, do I like the angle CNN's going in? No. They're talking about how the Inspector General is going to investigate the federal use of force in Portland and Washington with the rioters. Now, I'll be honest with you. I didn't know it was that bad. Why didn't I know it was that bad? Because nobody's talking about it. Did you notice that nobody is talking about it? Did you see how quick the whole the whole attention went away from the protesters, Black Lives Matter, and everything like that. Did you see how quickly it went away from that and back on coronavirus? And you don't hear about these protests anymore. Am I saying that's right? No, I'm not saying that's right. I'm just giving you an example that how quickly that went away. Now, these protesters, apparently it's pretty bad in Portland. I know they went in there and cleared out that no cop zone, which was ridiculous in the first place, in my opinion. And now I guess there's really, really violent protests in Portland. I think, what else would they say? I think they said Arizona, if I'm not mistaken. I know New York's having issues with crime, not necessarily protesters. I know Chicago's having issues with crime. But apparently Portland is the hotbed right now for this violent protesting. To be honest with you, I don't even know what they're protesting. I don't. And maybe that's my ignorance for not digging deep enough to find out. But you know what? If you want to destroy your communities, spray paint all these up, terrorize all these things, all these people, excuse me, and make it look like, I don't know if any of you know this movie, but Escape from New York with Kurt Russell, way back in the day. If you Snake Plissken, that was his name. If you don't know what that is, check it out. It's a little hokey, if you will, but you'll understand what I'm talking about. If they want to turn their streets into what it looked like in that movie, Escape from New York, you know what? Then you should live there for the rest of your life on those streets with no help, no cleanup. Let you do that. Now, they're complaining in the city, I guess, from what I'm understanding and what I've read in the recent day or two, that these federal officers have been sent to help quell these protests because they're destroying an American city. It's almost like an enemy from within destroying American city. So they've gone out there, and yes, they've used, apparently, from what I'm reading, force, tear gas, etc. And the mayor out there wants the federal troops gone. Well, the federal troops came in because you couldn't do your job and control your people in your city. That's your job. Your job isn't to let this happen to your city. And from what I read last night, the mayor of Portland was tear gassed. And it was all over the news this morning. That's the most I heard about these riots in Portland because the mayor was tear gassed. Well, why was the mayor tear gassed? It's because he was walking with the protesters. He was protesting with them. They don't like him, so he's trying to get them to like him. They don't like him. They booed him. They jeered him, the article I was reading. The mayor wants them to like him. So what did he do? He joined the protest. What happened to him? He got tear gassed. Boo-hoo. So sorry. So sad. Get out of the way. These federal agencies and federal officers are trying to clean up your city, trying to get these people in control. Do these people not work? Do they not have jobs? Apparently not. But yet again, here's the mayor complaining today on how he got tear gassed and how these federal officers, the use of force with the... I don't care. You were in the middle of these protesters. Don't complain to me. And this article, by the way, in... it just changed. Haha. There we go. This article, by the way, here it is. I think, if I can find it, it just disappeared. CNN updated their site and it disappeared. So now there is hardly any, or none, I should say. There it is. It was all the way buried in the bottom. Now, in this article, the Inspector General wants to find out if there was a, let's see, I think when I read it, and I didn't highlight it because it was on the webpage here. Here we go. The Inspector General in a statement in a statement that his review of law enforcement responses would include an examination of the instructions officers received. Ooh. You know what? That happened earlier, and it was a silly little ad that popped up. I'm sorry. If you heard me go um, silent for a minute, it was an ad that popped up. So, anyways, and it came through my headphones, and I know it didn't come through you guys. The inspector general wants to find out what directions or what orders the officers were given and if there was any miscommunication. Basically, and I wish I could pull that up and read it word for word, he's basically trying to say, well, did anybody know the mayor was down there? Meaning, why didn't anybody know the mayor was down there? Meaning, we're supposed to protect the mayor when he's protesting. No, not happening. Sorry. If that's his choice. That's his choice. The people don't even like him. I mean, you can look it up. They were booing him, jeering him, whatever you want to call it, before this, so he decided to join them to win them back or win them over. Well, you know what? If you jump into the lion pit at the zoo and don't expect to get chased or bit by a lion, then you're not that bright. You shouldn't be mayor, definitely. So I don't know what he plans on getting out of this. I don't know. So we'll have to find out and follow that story a little bit more. All right. So, like I said, it's going to be a shortened day today on the Break Room with JB. Don't forget to check us out on our Facebook page. We've got Twitter now at the Break Room JB. Facebook, Break Room with JB. YouTube, the Break Room with JB. And there was one more, the website. That's right, the breakroomjb.weebly.com. So many places to check us out, guys. If you check out the YouTube page, leave comments below the video. Subscribe, number one, but leave comments below the videos. Let me know if there's anything you want to discuss or any old topics we can bring back up and go into more detail and so forth. I'd be more than happy to do that with you. One other thing I want to touch before we wrap up today is this article I saw, and it talks about AT&T, or HBO and AT&T, I should say. But what caught my eye was the headline. It says, HBO owner AT&T saw its profits sink in the second quarter as the coronavirus surged. Excuse me. And I said, that's interesting. How did HBO lose money? I would think that more people are home, more people are watching streaming services and all that. But then I thought, oh, you know what? People have to pay for that. I understand. Well, just to give you an idea here, it's nothing about HBO. It's nothing about HBO. It's about AT&T and the other companies they own, but it said HBO owner, AT&T, and there's a big picture of somebody watching HBO in this article. And so that's what got me to click on it. So anyways, I was reading this thing, and AT&T apparently owns Warner Media, which is a big movie company, and they were down 23%, rounded, 22.9% decline in revenue, and that was mostly from fewer ads, people or companies not advertising because they're losing money, and loss of ticket sales, movie ticket sales, and so forth. And then I scrolled down to read a little bit more. And AT&T Cellular, the mobile phone, said it lost 151,000 subscribers. 151,000 subscribers. Now, I know why. I know why they lost that much. To be honest with you, AT&T Mobile stinks. If you have AT&T Mobile, I'm sorry, but I know a lot of people that have problems with them. As a matter of fact, in the building I work in, a lot of people do have AT&T, and they don't get service in that building. Not one of them. I mean, you have to hang your body out a window to get service. And it's big in our area. AT&T's big. But they lost 151,000 mobile subscribers, and they also lost 338,000 customers who just stopped paying. but they were kept on the network as part of the federal, program during the coronavirus to keep wireless networks and people in connection. Now, 338,000 though, 338,000 customers who just stopped paying. How many of those, I'm wondering, just stopped paying to take advantage of the situation? And I'm not saying anything negative, although I probably could, but how many of those people actually really, really, really could not afford their bill and took advantage of this program compared to the people that just took advantage of the program? I hope that not a lot of people took advantage of the program, but if you turn on any social media platform or go on to any of them, you can see there's a lot of people out there that probably would take advantage of this system, which is sad. Very, very sad. So anyways, they lost 151,000 people, actual phone subscribers. So I don't know what out of all those people that aren't coming back at all, out of the 338 that just stopped paying. I don't know when that ends with AT&T. It doesn't say anything in here. But they also lost 800 because AT&T owns DirecTV. And let me tell you something. DirecTV was the bomb. I love DirecTV. I had DirecTV for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 5, 6, about 7 years, I think, total. Love DirecTV. DirecTV was awesome. The people were awesome. They love to help you. They're very helpful on the phone every time I called and ordered the NFL package or had a problem with the bill, etc. Love DirecTV. Once AT&T bought them, they went down the crapper. They were horrible. Not only did their prices go up to ridiculous amounts, I'm talking ridiculous amounts, but their customer service went down the drain. And apparently, from what I'm reading here, and if you see me squinting, I don't have my glasses on. If you're watching the YouTube version, it says 886,000, meaning people, they lost. 886,000 net loss of people on the DirecTV system. Good for you. Good for you people that have quit them, because it's ridiculous, especially since AT&T took over. Absolutely ridiculous. DirecTV was so cool, so awesome, great company. And hey, I can't blame DirecTV people for seeing the writing on the wall with streaming, because hey, I get all my stuff on streaming. I have a streaming service that it's great. Live TV plus a movie bank and all that for peanuts compared to what DirecTV was offering. My actually local cable company just came out with a streaming service that I called up for, and they were really pricey. I was surprised. I was really surprised. They were pricey. They were even pricier than the one I have, which I was hoping that they were cheaper, but hey, it is what it is. So yes, AT&T is losing people left and right, not only in their movies, but apparently in their phones and their TV service as well. So, speaking of streaming, since we left off with that, I know I'm way behind the ball on this, but I know we talked about one of the series I was watching before, The Handmaid's Tale, and I went through that like nothing. And I'm so glad there's going to be another season, because I need more. It's like my addiction right now. I need more. Well, I found the new addiction. nothing to be afraid of. A new series, and I didn't find it, I shouldn't say. It's been out there, and I poo-pooed it when it was out, and I'm like, I don't want to see that, whatever. Game of Thrones. Wow. I just picked that up. I know a lot of you are probably saying, oh my gosh, that I didn't realize it was that long ago. It's like 11 years old. Surprising. But I just picked that up recently. No, 11, maybe 9. I don't know. I'm doing the math wrong in my head. Recently, I just got through season 1, and it's fantastic. So if you haven't checked it out, check it out. It's really, really good. I know if you're not a big mystical, magical person or whatnot, it doesn't have that much of it in season 1 anyways. It starts to get into it maybe in season 2 a little bit, but it's worth a try. It's worth a shot. If you like binging series, it's a good one to binge, and it keeps you enthralled and keeps your attention pretty much the whole time. So check it out if you haven't seen it. All right, guys. Well, listen, we're going to wrap up the Break Room with JB, episode number 11 here. And like I said, the next episode is going to have John Tobin, one of our former guests from the Cooper and Tobin Show, 101.5 WPDH, back with us. Going to be a little bit less of an interview, more of just hang out and talk, kind of like what today was if somebody was sitting next to me other than my 2 dogs. They could have chimed in any time, but they're laying flat out on the floor, passed out at this point. So, yes, the next episode number 12, is going to have John Tobin. We're going to touch on my big mistake I made this past week, something I sent him to look at in regards to information, misinformation, if you will, and anything he wants to talk about. I know tonight, as a matter of fact, is opening night of baseball, and the Yankees are playing right now, unfortunately. I'm a Red Sox fan if you haven't figured that out yet with a couple of the episodes with Steve and I. But the Yankees are playing the Nationals right now. Last time I saw it was like 2-1 before I came in here to get ready for the show. So baseball was on the topic. We could talk about that, maybe a little NFL. If you have questions for John Tobin, send them to the email, thebreakroomjb@gmail.com. Again, that's thebreakroomjb@gmail.com. Or you can send them to me through Facebook, or you can send them to me through Twitter, or you can leave a comment in the YouTube channel. Any of those. If you have a question for him, for me, that I can answer on the podcast too, please do. All right? So, guys, listen, I will catch you next time on The Break Room. Check out all those social media sites that I just listed. I'm not going to do it again. That's the correct way, by the way, to use social media, not the way most people do. So we'll check you next time on episode number 12 of The Break Room with JB. Thank you for joining me tonight, guys. Have a great one.